Amid the ongoing allegations made against WWE Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, there are now two new accounts of male wrestlers and ring boys being abused in the 1980s and 1990s in WWE. The late Ashley Massaro's daughter has hit out at her former best friend, despite going on News Nation doing an interview claiming abuse against Massaro in WWE. Shotzi confirms her injury after sustaining it last week at the NXT television tapings. An update on where SummerSlam this year is reportedly set to be held. Jim Ross provides a health update in a post on social media. Sheamus teases his return to WWE television. Plus, we have the ratings for SmackDown and Rampage last Friday. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And let's start off with, of course, the biggest headlines that are dominating WWE right now, and that is the scandal enveloping Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis, as well as many historic accounts of abuse within World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, Janelle Grant's sex trafficking lawsuit against former WWE chairman Vince McMahon, former WWE executive John Laurinaitis, and WWE itself, and sworn statements from the late Ashley Massaro that have been released since the suit was filed, describe a culture of sexual harassment and abuse within the company historically. Now, two recent interviews with people who worked for WWE, then the WWF, in the 1980s indicate that it's been an issue at the company since not long after McMahon bought the promotion from his father more than 50 years ago. Both deal, at least in part, with the ring boy scandal of the early 1990s, which involved accusations that ring announcer Mel Phillips and former wrestler turned vice president of operations Terry Garvin sexually abused teen boys who Phillips recruited for work setting up at shows and running errands. Tom Cole went public with his story of abuse in 1992. 2 years later, he said he was fired following an incident where he turned down a sexual proposition at Garvin's home. Cole's story prompted nationwide media coverage of his accusations. Phillips and Garvin left the company and didn't return. Pat Patterson resigned after being implicated in the scandal, but maintained his innocence and soon returned with Cole's blessing. Vince McMahon admitted at the time that he'd fired Phillips in 1988 because his relationship with children appeared peculiar and unnatural, but was later rehired on the condition that he, quote, steer clear of kids. For a more in-depth coverage of the Ring Boy scandal, see Abraham Josephine Reisman's book Ringmaster, Vince McMahon and the Unmaking of America. An excerpt of that can be found online. Now, Cole passed away via suicide in 2021 at the age of 50. His brother Lee has continued to pursue justice on Tom's behalf, and on February 19 posted an interview he conducted with another former ring boy named Sean. Now, Sean says he believes Tom Cole's story as he had similar experiences with Phillips. He describes road trips where he and other young men would share a hotel room with the ring announcer who would pretend to wrestle them with a focus on their feet, with which Phillips had a fetish. Sean said many of the ring crew recruits, quote, came from broken type homes. We were all we had similar backgrounds. He described his interactions with Phillips by saying, quote, there are like two Mels. There is the Mel Phillips that is the ring announcer that took you to the shows, fed you, gave you money. Then there is the behind the scenes Mel that once the hotel door room shuts, it's a little different. While he didn't have as many dealings with Garvin, Sean described why the former wrestler gave him the creeps. He said, quote, I only ran into Terry Garvin a few times. It depended on where you were. Terry Garvin was pretty big. For me, a bigger man. He came off friendly, but then he gave me the creeps. I just felt nervous around him. Put his arm on your shoulder. Hey, how are you? So you want to get into wrestling? I like it. I'm too small to be a wrestler. I just had bad vibes of him. It gave me a bad vibe because my background in foster care and homes. Now you're feeling, if you ever want to, I don't know if you want to do that. There is a difference where Mel didn't do that. One is more aggressive than the other. I felt like, hey, I can help you, but it felt like there was something else and he wasn't just going to do it for himself. That was the vibe that came off him, but I didn't see him that much. He also saw signs that Phillips' behavior was an open secret at WWE. He said, quote, "I was kind of warned by a wrestler later towards the time I was getting ready to leave in August 1987. I can't remember exactly who it was. It was be careful who you're with. Then come to find out later in life, everybody knew Mel had this fetish. To me, if all the wrestlers knew, who else knew that he had this fetish? I do remember when I was with somebody else. We were at the show and someone had talked to Mel about having all these boys around. I didn't really think what's going on. Someone talked to Mel about it though." Now, the idea that WWE officials occasionally told Phillips to be more discreet about or stop what he was doing with the Ring Boys is also supported by former wrestler Paul Roma in an interview with News Nation's Ashley Banfield. Roma was a talent from WWE from 1984 to 1991, and obviously we covered that interview in depth yesterday. Be sure to check that out here on the channel. So what do you make of these new accusations, and do you think this is just the beginning of more accusations like this that have somewhat been in the public domain in the past, rearing their heads and coming back to light again? Now, speaking of these accusations, of course, we've now heard a lot of the accusations made by the late Ashley Massaro, including an allegation of sexual assault whilst overseas in Kuwait as part of a WWE Tribute to the Troops tour in 2006. Now, this was really blown up by the lawyer of the late Ashley Massaro releasing sworn affidavits, as well as a former best friend of Ashley Massaro going on News Nation and once again recounting these allegations, as well as the perception that Stephanie McMahon knew about Ashley Massaro's accusations and WWE still kept them quiet. Now, ever since Vince McMahon was accused of sexual trafficking by Janelle Grant, the former WWE CEO has been certainly the talk of headlines both in pro wrestling and in mainstream media. In fact, following the lawsuit against him, many people have made serious claims against him and WWE. In a similar way, Cara Pipia, the best friend of late pro wrestler Ashley Massaro, has also made some allegations against McMahon. Now, the female figure did so during her appearance, as I mentioned, on News Nation, as she talked about the sexual assault Ashley had to go through during her career in the company. In her interview, Cara claimed that many in WWE, including Vince McMahon, were aware of the allegations, but no one stood up for her friend, as well as recommending to her that she kept it quiet and not go to the appropriate authorities. But just days after Pipia's comments about the case, Ashley's daughter Alexa Massaro has hit back at her for doing so to take advantage of the whole situation through her remarks. The 29-year-old did so via a series of posts on social media in which she blasted her mother's former best friend for messaging awfully mean things amid the sexual assault allegations. Now, these are the tweets that have been put out there by Massaro's daughter. You can see them on the screen right now. She says, quote, "Finally gained the courage to search my mom's name, and I see her ex-best friend, the woman who has harassed me and my grandma since her passing, has messaged family members awfully mean things, pretending to be me, etc., as the voice chosen to represent this. God help me." She continued on by saying, "Cara Pipia wasn't even a friend of my mother's when she passed. She was an ex-best friend who, since her passing, has just spam messaged me unsettling/delirious messages and has fabricated bizarre messages, etc., etc." She then goes on by saying, "For the record, I didn't watch the video. I just wanted to put that out there. She, Cara, could be correct though, regardless of Cara Pipia being the last person my mother would want speaking on her behalf. The things my mother faced during her years with WWE were real." She then said, "No one who supports the Massaro family, literally all that's remaining is me and my grandma Barbara, who I live with anyways, would go to the media or news outlets. They know it's against our wishes, her mother wishes." It says, "This is far more attention than I intended. I probably should have watched the damn video first. I'm still not going to watch it because it's overwhelming, but gosh, what have I done? I'm just a girl. I want my mommy." She then concluded by saying, "In that moment, I could have chosen to instead acknowledge how frustrating it is to see Cara talk on behalf of my mother and move on with my day. I probably should have. Please do not let what I've said complicate the current situation." So that's kind of the latest when it comes to that, suggesting that maybe the person who spoke on News Nation wasn't totally close to Ashley Massaro at the time of her passing, but does acknowledge that the allegations made by her mother during her tenure in WWE are true. So that is certainly what she has said on the matter. Now, let's move on to what happened on WWE television last night. In fact, it actually happened last week at the NXT television tapings. Now, WWE Superstar Shotzi, of course, was replaced mid-match after she was legitimately injured during an NXT Women's Championship match. Now, during a match that was taped on February 13 and aired last night between Lyra Valkyria and Shotzi, the latter suffered a legitimate injury. When Shotzi performed a move that saw her jump down off the ring apron to the floor, she immediately grabbed her knee after the impact and fell to the ground. Now, since the show was filmed last week, it's actually been confirmed the nature of her injury. We'll go into that in just a second. But the show was edited to utilize Shotzi being helped away from the ringside area and Lyra pacing in the ring during a picture-in-picture commercial break. After the show returned to full screen, there was an announcement that would shape how the rest of the main event would play out. NXT General Manager Ava came out to announce that Shotzi was unable to compete, but since the fans were promised an NXT Women's Championship match, it was now an open challenge. Immediately, it was Lash Legend who answered the open challenge, having just competed in a match earlier on in the show. Valkyria did end up picking the victory in the legitimately impromptu match with Legend and retained her title. Now, when it comes to the actual severity of the injury, Shotzi has confirmed that she has sustained a torn ACL. She took to Instagram yesterday to confirm she'll be out of action for around 9 months. She wrote, quote, "I tore my ACL, which means I will be out of action for about 9 months. Thank you to everyone who has checked up on me. I'm so sorry if I haven't responded. I am just extremely devastated and angry. Some of you know I have been through a lot the last few years, and it's been so hard to keep up with what I think is expected of me, and honestly, my mental health has been at an all-time low. But I've pushed through, and I was feeling motivated and like myself again. I was hoping to go to NXT to prove myself again, earn some respect, build back my confidence, and start putting the heartache from the past 2 years behind me. I feel defeated right now, but I'm simultaneously feeling the most motivated I have ever been. I've been through way worse. I've watched my sister, who is fighting cancer, fight tougher battles. I'm just taking this as a sign to slow down. I didn't take time off when both my stepdad and my dad passed, and that really affected me. Now I'm looking forward to coming back, not just physically stronger, but mentally also. Of course, we wish Shotzi the best in her recovery from her injury. Now, SummerSlam, we have a major update when it comes to the location of SummerSlam. Of course, last year it was in Detroit. Where is it going to be this year? Well, a new report has revealed a major hint for the location for WWE SummerSlam 2024, following Ohio awarding credits for TV production. There's been much discussion in regards to what the location for this year's SummerSlam event will be. At the end of 2023, Fightful Select reported that the rumored city for SummerSlam would be Cleveland, Ohio. It was recently reported that WWE had been awarded $1.6 million in credits for an unspecified TV series. With rumors building since last year that Cleveland would be the home for SummerSlam, it looks like this credit is for WWE's second biggest premium live event of the year. According to a new report from Cleve Scene, the Ohio Motion Picture Tax Credit Program hands out refundable credits of up to 30% of the wages of production cast and crew. Lydia Mihalik, the director of Ohio Department of Development, provided the following statement, saying, quote, "Investing in these productions fuels the vibrant creativity that's alive in Ohio's communities and serves as a powerful catalyst for economic growth. These projects celebrate and showcase our diverse landscapes, generate jobs, stimulate local businesses, and create a lasting legacy for the arts in Ohio." So seemingly it does look like that there is going to be possibly SummerSlam in Ohio based on these credits that have been awarded to WWE. Now, we've got an update on Jim Ross and his health. Now, absent AEW star and commentator Jim Ross has provided a positive health update after a few rounds of cancer surgeries. As previously reported, AEW commentator and WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross has been dealing with rounds of cancer surgeries that have kept him off programming as of late. On February 20, JR took to social media to say that it was the first full day on the Jacksonville beach and out of the rehab facility. He wrote the following, you can see it on the screen right there. "First full day on the Jacksonville beach and out of rehab facility. Using a cane for now, improving daily, broken hip responding well. Excited for my future with AEW." Now, on February 1st, Jim Ross revealed that he underwent cancer surgery on his right hip and was recovering well. Despite his health issues over the past year that has caused him to take a step back from announcing duties in AEW, Jim Ross still occasionally calls the main event bouts on AEW Collision. Of course, we get any more updates on Jim Ross and his health, his future, we'll let you know, but it's good news that JR is back out on the beach. Now, Sheamus, he's also been absent since last year, since facing Edge. Of course, Edge is now in AEW. When are we going to see the Celtic Warrior return? Well, Sheamus has not appeared on WWE television since August, where he faced off with Edge on an episode of SmackDown in Toronto in Edge's final match with the company before leaving for AEW. Now, over the past few weeks, Sheamus has teased a return on social media, specifically targeting a rematch with Intercontinental Champion Gunther. Taking to social media yesterday, Sheamus again teased an upcoming return Return, asking anyone if they miss 5-star banger matches. Here's what he said, quote, "Anyone missing 5-star banger matches? Hashtag match of the year 2021, match of the year 2022, match of the year 2023. Now, Sheamus has taken aim at the Intercontinental Championship held by Gunther many times, with being the last title he's yet to win in WWE. Sheamus and Gunther took part in numerous classic matches together at Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, on SmackDown, and also at WrestleMania 39 in a three-way match with Drew McIntyre last year. Reportedly, Sheamus' contract with WWE is reportedly set to expire later on this year, so would you like to see Sheamus come back and win that title? What would you like to see Sheamus do if and when he returns to WWE television? Now we have the ratings for last Friday's episode of SmackDown as the road to WrestleMania continues. Of course, it featured The Rock as well. And according to a report first reported by Sports Media Watch, SmackDown drew 2.555 million viewers on Fox and generated a 0.75 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. Now, when it comes to a bit of competition notes here, SmackDown outranked all other sports telecasts, including the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game on ESPN, which averaged 1.565 million viewers and a 0.55 18 to 49 rating. Now, when it comes to comparison to last week, the episode is basically on par with the total viewership, actually down 1% from last week's number. When it comes to the 18 to 49 comparison as well, it was also, again, flat from last week, with last week having a 0.75 and this week having a 0.75 as well. Finally, we also have the ratings for AEW Rampage on TNT, and it wasn't a great number, but of course AEW Rampage was preempted to 7 p.m. due to the NBA All-Star Weekend. Now, AEW Rampage drew 300,000 viewers on TNT and generated a 0.09 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. Now, as I mentioned, the preempted episode was down significantly from last week. Last week's episode drew 456,000 total viewers, and that is down 34% from last week's numbers. When it comes to the 18 to 49, it was also down 36% as last week's episode drew a 0.14 in the 18 to 49 demographic. But there you go, guys. That's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.